Hello, natemareflix. I am Nate. You are you, and today we're going to talk about a movie called Son, not Mom, Son. Don't know why, but my brain oh so badly wants to remember this film as being titled Mom. But it's not. It's called Son, so let's review Son. Son is a new 2021 horror film directed by Ivan Kavanaugh. It stars Andi Matichak and Emile Hirsch. And Andi Matichak is where I want to start with this review because she is the brightest spot of this film. She really carries production on her back. What a wonderful powerhouse performance. And this revelation is a damn good one as a Halloween fanboy because she is Allison in the new Halloween series. And in the first film, the 2018 Halloween, she didn't get to do a whole lot. I mean, she was very competent and strong when she was on screen, but it was really a bunch of other players' film. But you got to believe as this series goes on, she's going to take a bigger, more prominent position and may end up receiving the baton from Jamie Lee Curtis in the series and becoming the key Strode, the key final girl. So the fact that I know she has these types of acting chops, that is such a wonderful revelation, and I really got to tip my hat to her for what she does in Son, because like I said, it's a very emotional, complex performance, and she just nails it left and right. You really feel for her in this role, and that is why I so badly want to give her the credit and give her the title, give the movie the title Mom rather than Son. But what is Son about? Well, glad you asked, because it's going to be real hard to tell you. Especially when I'm not trying to spoil things for you. It's an interesting film. It's an ambitious film. And I will spoil for you that it has relations to a cult because, well, when you look this movie up on VOD, it'll say as much in the description. So there you go. If the marketing team doesn't mind tipping that little thing to you, then I don't either. But basically when this film opens, we see Andi Matichak running into a diner. She's adorning some sort of weird white culty gown, and before too long these two nefarious individuals, they follow her into the diner and they are just giving her the evil eye. You know something really bad is about to go down and that we do not want her to fall into the clutches of these two. Luckily, she takes off into the dark, stormy night, and well, at this point, we've now realized she is about to be with child. She's going to be in labor at any moment. And this is the first time this movie will make you go, huh, I think I've seen this in another popular horror film. And I'm, of course, referring to Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. That film opens up with J.C. Brandy playing Jamie and her going off on the run, trying to escape the cult of Thorn and Michael Myers with her brand new newborn. Well, here we have a girl trying to escape a cult, wearing very similar clothes, set in the same exact setting, dark, stormy night, just spitting rain, and she takes a car, cuts off into darkness, has this baby. So, all right, maybe this guy's got some big Halloween fandom going on with him. He cast Andi Matichak, who's from the Halloween franchise. That's her most notable credit. And then he has an opening that is just so very Halloween 6. And this is not the last time, like I said, this film will feel a bit derivative. That is one of my major knocks against it. For example, before too long, we are cutting forward to the future, and now this child that was just born, he's like 9-10 years old, and we're getting caught up with him and Andi Matichak. And this is one of the strong parts of the film, this opening act, because in no time at all, they really make us tie ourselves to these two. They have a nice little rapport. They're very charismatic on screen, and you just want to root for them, and you don't want anything bad to happen to them.
Mom, if you had 8 arms, what would you do with the extra ones?
Hey! I would just show them off and call myself the Spider Lady.
Good answer, Mom.
They also do a good job setting up some creepy atmosphere here. You don't really know quite yet what we're up against. Is the cult going to be the main culprit? Is there going to be some sort of demon raised by the cult? That's fascinating stuff. And you're on the edge of your seat like, okay, Son looks like a damn good time. Looks like a good film. Let's see where you go with this. Well, before too long, the derivatives really start hitting you over the head because before too long, Andi Matichak is sitting there in bed one night and hears a strange sound coming from her son's room. And when she goes there, she sees a bunch of strange green individuals around his bed. Of course, she freaks out. She calls the cops and all that. But I gotta say, that scene, I say derivative, is because it looks like something straight out of Hereditary. It looks so much like a carbon copy of Hereditary. And then they do it again later in the film. She has a brief flashback. And it's just to try to unsettle you and jar you because all the cult members are walking towards her and naked. And again, that's so Ari Aster. And this film I wouldn't say they were copying something. I wouldn't say they were outright stealing it. If they did something with it, they went with something from there. They built off of that. They went back to that scene one more time. They flushed something, anything out, but they do not. It's simply like, they're like, oh, this worked in recent smash hits like Hereditary and Midsummer. You know, A24 films are getting a lot of clout and respect right now for doing this type of thing. So I'll borrow some A24 elements and I'll put them in my film. But it's really just a bland rendition. It feels like plagiarism almost. It is not as effective. It just makes you think of other films that you enjoyed more. So this is not a time that I feel like a director went and borrowed from his influence and re-employed it effectively. Instead, it just felt like a cheap version, and a lot of Sun will do that. But anyways, by the time investigators get to the house, there is no sign of the cult. There is no sign of breaking and entering. We have Emile Hirsch. He is one detective, and he seems to have taken a liking to Andi Matichak's character. And then we have another detective who's a little bit more cynical of Andi. And as he begins to look into her past, he understands that she had ties to this cult and that she may not be mentally stable. And this brings me to my biggest qualm with the film. This whole thing of kind of gaslighting your audience or trying to make your audience guess of like, is our narrator reliable or aren't they? Is what they're telling us true? Are they seeing things that are actually there or not? Is there a cult? Does this cult believe in a demon? Could a demon be coming? Is there something wrong with the sun? Or is this all in Andi Matichak's head? Do we trust her? Do we sympathize with her? Or do we only sympathize with her because she is out of touch with reality? Which one would be more scary? That doesn't work because it has been done time and time and time again as of late. I mean, we just saw this happen with Joker, and I feel like that was one of the most maligned aspects of Joker. When they try to shoehorn that aspect into the film, especially with like the girlfriend. Sorry, heavy spoilers for Joker. Fast forward like a minute or two if you have not seen Joker. But anyway, in Joker, when we find out, yeah, all the stuff you saw of him with that the black woman and her child, this supposed girlfriend of the Joker, yeah, it was all in his head. It wasn't really happening. And we're like, yeah, we know we're hip to this kind of thing because movies have been abusing this plot point and this plot device for such a long time now. When this first started happening, I mean, you look back at films like A Beautiful Mind, then it was groundbreaking. Then it really caught you off guard and you're like, wow, way to tell a story. But it's been ripped off and repackaged so many times now that it's really just aggravating. Because where I was so invested in this opening act and curious to see where this movie is going, when I got that answer, that I was just going to sit back and play, well, is she or isn't she the entire time, it really, really dampened my experience because I didn't want that. I was like, just put me in a position to where I'm on her side and I can fully trust her and know that we are up against some sort of dark force and evil, whether it be a demon, a cult, whatever, and that everyone else doesn't trust her. At this point, in our culture, that would have been way more entertaining and I could have been way more invested. But the whole time I'm sitting there going, you're going to try to pull off a major twist and I've seen it 1,000 times. It's going to be a dud. And then on the opposite side, you're like, okay, maybe you're just doing a red herring. Maybe you're not going to do that. And I'm not going to tell you whether they actually do try to make her out to be mentally unfit or not. But either way, it doesn't matter because it really belabors the entire experience of the movie because you're sitting there going, it doesn't matter either way at this point. Because I'm sitting here going, am I just going to see more of what I've already seen before? Are you just going to give me the same old twist that I've seen 1,000 times? Are you about to hit me with that? Because that's going to be so lame. But on the other hand, you're like, even if you don't, for the fact that for the last hour, I've been sitting here worrying that you might, even if you don't, I haven't been able to properly enjoy this past hour because I've been like, oh man, I'm up for a lazy bit of storytelling. This destination is not going to behoove the journey. And why do that to yourself? Why hamstring yourself like that? So that is one of my major issues. A major plot point in this movie. It's very cliched and it's quite frankly boring and we need to put it on the shelf and let it collect some dust when it comes to this whole unreliable narrator thing. Are they crazy or are they not? And then also the film is just so derivative. Is the film creepy? Not really. There are a few good moments of tension, some good atmosphere. When I do think this movie, one of the pros is there are a few moments of really strong lighting and they just kind of set up with their blocking and framing and their set design some really nice pieces that will stick out to you. When I think of this movie, I think of Andi Matichak and a few good scenes where the lighting and tension is wonderful. As far as scares, not a whole lot of really intense stuff. They use a lot of blood in this film, but I think you've seen it used much better. Creepy kids, you've seen way creepier children. This child actor, he does a very good job. He doesn't get on your nerves or anything. He in no way sinks this production, which is great because we've all seen movies that were really burdened by a really piss poor child acting performance. Not the case here. He only had one moment that was weak for me. He is sitting there watching TV and we're supposed to be now getting creeped out by him and not knowing whether we should trust this child or not, what is going on. And he's watching a cartoon and instead of just laughing like a normal child, he sits there and goes, and you're like, okay, that's odd. You seem like a nasty little goober that nobody's going to want to pick to play with at recess, but I'm not necessarily sure I should be terrified of you yet. You don't sound maniacal. You don't sound possessed or anything. You just sound like an odd little goober. So that was the only moment with him that I was like, I feel like the director, Ivan Kavanaugh, should have maybe directed him to do something a little different. But other than that, strong performances all around. You know, I've been sitting here glowing, talking about Andi Matichak. Emile Hirsch is good as always. The child actor does a very good job for a child actor. So this movie, a lot of pros, a lot of cons, and that is why it is directly in the middle for me. It is a 2.5 out of 5, a 50%, and that is pretty low compared to what I'm seeing a lot of other people rate this film as. So go ahead and let me know what you thought of Son if you've seen this film. Do you think I'm off base here, or do you think this thing felt a bit tired and derivative like I did? Be sure to comment down below. But other than that, you have a fantastic day. I'm Nate from natemareflix saying that's a wrap.